Hi, my name is Johanna Stone, and today's presentation is going to dive into the organizational design, structure, and necessity for change within Carbon Health. The objectives will be to identify the key issues of the organization. I discuss the consequences and ramifications of this issue, explain if the organization values conscious culture, suggest an improvement plan, discuss potential challenges, and identify strategies to use in the future. The major issue of Carbon Health is underperforming in quality management. I worked for this company back in 2022, and their primary goal is to provide access to quality and efficient healthcare to all. The fast growth within the company created a constant struggle between management and employees. I was specifically hired to create a new location and open it up, which created its own set of challenges. This was the first location in Reno of both primary and urgent care for Carbon Health. The leadership team was not equipped for this location, which really shined through the lack of quality management. The layoffs began in probably the end of 2022 and continued through 2023. Layoffs started due to a COVID-19 really surged and then declined. And once it declined and dwindled, that's when layoffs started and benefits packages were dwindled. So employees really decided, is this going to be for me? As most of them couldn't pay for the benefits packages and other necessities in life. Management was put under an enormous amount of stress as changes flooded in every day. Meeting after meeting, changes came, and management really needed to implement those changes within Reno, which was a very small regional various company for this. Most employees really rethought their continuance with Carbon Health. The consequences were going to continue if nothing stopped. So really, there was a lot of talk about location closures, which I do believe one has closed since then, and it will continue if nothing is done about this. High turnover rates flourished and would continue to flourish. There was a major loss in revenue when COVID-19 declined because they grew so fast, and yet they were not keeping up with the revenue to all the locations that they had brought on. There was also damaged mergers as we were backed financially by another company, and there was a huge shift between the two companies, which led to a lot of demise between the two. There is talk about the effects of the organizational structure. So the organizational structure of the company was vastly different from what I'm used to. Management was spread thin and shuffling of employees was insane. We would go from multiple locations, multiple different times. The span of control one leadership member had was overwhelming for that member. Thankfully, we did have a good EMR system to help keep up with flow and support because it was designed essentially for Carbon Health. But with that being said, there was also a lack of talent due to the immense pressure to hire fast with all these locationings opening. Management also lacked communication between employees and management due to the shuffling and the vast amount of employees for one management member. The organizational design of the company changed monthly and yearly, especially with COVID. There was a rapid growth within the company and then a rapid decline within the company as COVID fell and rose. The new locations that they created during COVID-19 were not set up for success. Insurance contracts were not pushed through when new locations opened. So we were taking a lot of insurances that we were not contracted with, and that led to a huge loss of revenue. Trainers and team leaders were not brought in for opening, or they were only there for a short amount of time before leaving. One manager really had no wiggle room, and it led to a lack of support, and employees struggled to know where to turn to for help when they needed it. The goals of the new location changed drastically, but communication was not there to help with those changes. The organizational size really did play a role in these inconsistencies, as Carbon Health is a large organization in California, but regionally in Reno, it's very small. So trying to struggle between that identity was very hard. The effects of the organizational culture. So the whole point of Carbon Health and the culture itself is to hire people who care. They want to create supportive management who foster a caring environment. While regionally within my location, it seemed somewhat true, the management really did try to care. They just had a lot going on, so quality was not always there. But CEOs and executive board wise really did the opposite of what they said they would do. Their actions and their words really did not meet each other. There was also a bunch of technological deficiencies. While we had a great EMR system, our phones and other systems like that were not up to par, but nobody would listen within the CEO and executive board wise. There was also a lack of training due to the rush in training, and that created a lot of inconsistencies within locations and within the company as a whole. I don't think they embodied conscious capitalism to a T. I think they met two tenets very well and lacked in two other tenets. The two tenets they met well were higher purpose and stakeholder orientation. The higher purpose of the company is again to create care within reach between the entire community of Reno, which I think they did a very good job of. They also really listened and valued the opinions of their customers, and the management here did for their employees. We had surveys that went out, they looked at reviews, they really said, what can we do better to support the community around us and stay within our higher purpose. While the CEO and executive team really had major inconsistencies for conscious leadership and conscious culture. With the conscious leadership, the CEOs were riddling with conflicting ideas and actions. With conscious culture, when layoffs started, they really lacked in trust, transparency, and accountability. And especially with the benefits, they didn't take accountability. The severance packages were low. And it was really disheartening from when you were first hired to see what happened by the end of 2022. The improvement plan that I created is centered around the idea of embodying servant leadership within the Reno community and regionally to improve quality management. Step one is about creating a sense of urgency. So really understanding what is not working and what is working. When looking at that, we really need to band together and build a guiding coalition that talks and uses effective communication to see, okay, where are we lacking here and what can we do better here, to, oh my gosh, this is amazing, keep that up. With that, step 3 looks at how to adopt servant leadership to foster growth and development within the Reno community and within others surrounding the community. We also need to enlist an volunteer army. So with the 3 locations under the one manager, really talking to the 3 locations and saying, where do we need change? What needs to change? Really banding together to create that change within Reno. We also need to enable action by removing barriers. So the biggest thing is eliminating the uneven ratio of employees to leaders. Each location needs its own leader in order to foster servant leadership. To generate short-term wins, we really need to track these ratios and say, okay, great, we have a new leader. Where are they embodying servant leadership? Are they filling that goal? Do we need to keep going? Where do we need to keep going? To sustain acceleration, we cannot stop collaborating, cannot stop learning. Everyone needs to talk, everyone needs to be on board, everyone needs to keep learning about how can we do better, where does servant leadership really foster, and where can we implement it more. To institute the change overall, which is the last step of the improvement plan, is to have leadership share the plan to the 4th location in Reno and really foster it there before moving to other locations out of state. Again, probably keeping it with the smaller locations first and moving on from there. This plan was implemented, advised by me. I really followed the CODER plan. Managing challenges is essential for this plan to work. Servant leadership has to start regionally, as I have said. That is the only way for this plan to really work because California is a whole different ballgame. The ratios here in Reno were off, but not everywhere. We just really needed more support than what we got. So we need to start here, and that's going to be a challenge is starting here when we don't have the support. COVID-19 created a whole new challenges that were unprecedented and never seen before. So it's going to be essential to look at this now that the economy is different from what it was in COVID-19. With the fact that it was merged with another company as well, and we had financial backing from a company, we both need them on board to work. Once they see success, this will happen organically, but it's the start to get the plan going and in motion. With my goals in the future and being a business leader, I really want to see that benefits packages are essential to boost talent, boost productivity, keep the best talent, and improve employee satisfaction. This also goes with encouraging employees to grow within the company, which is critical for servant leadership to work because we want to be encouraging and empowering. Supportive and caring leaders also need to have effective communication. That is any major key for any organization to work. These are my references. All the ones that were used within the slides are accounted for. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.